Woo. Let me do a quick share or two, and here we go with the kids. Oh, Laura, hold on, babe. All right, that was my youngin'. All right. Let me see if anybody wants to filter in. I'm making it's because I'm messing with the phone. Sorry. Okay. So today I have this very dirty Symphonic VR-701. It's not looking too great at the front, but really not too bad. Um, I did obey my rule this time. See, I made a rule for myself when I'm out picking VCRs. And, ooh, look at the crud built up inside of there. Anyway, my rule is simple. Don't buy them, or at least not from thrift stores, where this is possible. Before you buy it, plug it in. And if it doesn't turn on, like a no power situation, I just don't buy it. And it's not because I don't think I'm incapable of ever fixing a no power situation. It's just, essentially, the last video of this type that I did, unfortunately, was a failure. And it was because it was a no power. Cool. Yeah, so unfortunately, that last video was a failure, ultimately. Not just because I left off without having completed it, because I found out that there was a switching transistor in the power circuit that was bad, and that's what kept blowing the fuse. We swapped it out. It took me about 30 minutes to find one, pull it out of old machines that would fix it, or that would be compatible. So I did that off screen, and I guess it's good that I did, because that didn't fix it. Instead, what it led me to was that the transformer itself here was bad. It was actually shorted across like three different not three or four of its points. Uh, Places where it was supposed to be outputting voltage were shorted directly to ground. No go. And I looked and I hunted and everything, and just couldn't find an answer to like anything that would fit it. I'm not going to rewind a transformer, not for a VCR that was going to be worth like $30. So, it is what it is. Well, hey, what's up again? How are you doing? I'm not good at reading that name. Abel Valdez. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to be working on a VCR, and this one I know for a fact does have a mode switch. So first, let me plug it in and show you what happens when these mode switches are dirty. Because I bet you, man, I wouldn't bet a lot, but I'd bet $5 for sure that it's going to do one of a few things. It's either going to take in the tape and immediately spit it back out. We don't want to get rid of that tape. I like that tape. Or it's going to take in the tape and then turn off. And then when I power it on, it'll spit it back out. Or it'll take in the tape and it will let out the tape and then eat the tape. Ooh. Or it might do something even weirder. Let's turn that on. Okay, so we do have power. Okay, interesting. So this isn't all the way at the back. Wow. That is very interesting. So we're getting nothing there. So you can see I'm turning this wheel with my thumb just to get it to go where it's supposed to go. And I just want to see if the track is healthy. I swear I'm going to stop doing these streams if they all wind up to be unfixable. If it turns out to be some sort of a horrible jinx. Wow. Okay, let's try eject. So we're getting nothing to that. I mean, we've got a power light. Yep, power light. Power's on. Is that all I'm going to get out of use a power light? The streams are cursed, friends. The streams are cursed. Is that tight? Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to run this back out. Oh, wait, no. That's all the way down. I mean, it's acting like it just doesn't know anything right now. It's funny, though, that the power light works. So we're not at a full no power situation. Lover 113, this is a VCR. It is a Symphonic VCR. I'll say this belt that I'm over here manually pushing or spinning looks in pretty rough shape. I've got some fresh belts I could swap in. But that is not the problem, because none of the motors are trying to run or anything. Like, none of that is happening. So we might just take her apart and find out what's up. But it is very interesting to me because power light is on, although honestly power light is stuck on. Getting nothing. Okay, I may have to change the way I buy these again. How interesting. Let's get into it. These are very easy to get the front cover off. 4 tabs up top there. 3 tabs on the bottom. Yeah, get you a little screwdriver or a scraper. Get up under there. Spring loaded. Pow. Okay. So we're that far in. I've unplugged, by the way. Very important to know when you're plugged in and when you're not, because the electricity just doesn't feel that good to me. Maybe it's a personal preference. I don't know. But we're just going to take this thing, because it's so simple, we're going to take it completely out. Does this unplug? That may unplug. It doesn't seem to. Nope. Okay, well. So normally to get these out, there's just a few screws that hold them in. This guy, obviously, it's got like a bushing here that we'll need to hold on to as well. Zap. Yeah, that is what would happen if I did not unplug it. Here's another look at the head cleaner. These, like, more dense foam style, they don't typically harm the head, but as you can see, it's getting like weirdly squishy and doing stuff. So again, that's not really, I don't think it does the heads any good anymore. So I just leave them off. No idea what I would actually replace those with if I was trying to be a super ultra mega perfectionist. Alrighty, on these later chassis, the screws are almost always in the same place. 3 on the back. This one's a little different. Normally there's one here and then there's one over here. The one over here is still here, so there's one screw different than I'm used to. There we go. And oh, actually, there it is. We found it. It's over here. Cool. So there were 5 screws. Is that all of them? If so, I imagine this whole deal is going to come up. Okay, first problem we've got is right here, we've got a clip that holds the board in. I'm going to go ahead and flex that one up a bit. Okay. And then over here we've got one that looks like it's going to be a pain in the butt to get to. I don't know if you can see it. Let's get you over here. There we go. So to do that while lifting this, it might be a bit of a chore, but I think we're getting there. Oh, that is very interesting. Got something roaming around here, white plastic, as if, yeah, look at this. Oh, that's scary. Why? Why are there always the worst problem on this? Goodness. These streams are a curse, I swear. Okay, so that's got to go through there. It's always a bit of a like a moving it around in different directions kind of thing to get these to come out, but there we go. Oh, we made it. Hello. Oh, thank you for the free sub. Hugely appreciated. So, what normally goes wrong on these guys... Oh, that's cool. So this one's one that will completely come apart. We'll look into where the heck this went in a minute. But what normally goes bad on these guys is this part right here. This is the mode switch. But we were kind of missing all control. So I'm thinking it's a little deeper than that. Looking at our capacitors, I don't see any of these tops bulging out. I do see there's been a lot of heat on this chip over here. So that chip right there has gotten very hot. Weirdly enough, that's another one of those parts that they decided to make and remake, so that there's not like a exact matching one all the time. Oh, your mom does this for work? That's awesome. I do something kind of like this for work, but not quite VCRs. So let's see here. I fear when certain things work and other things don't. Let's go ahead and just make sure I'm not going to be suffering the same failures as last week. Let's see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some continuity testing on this transformer. This transformer, let's see which ones are ground, if we can tell. This one's not as well labeled as the one on the other machine. Normally, you'll have... Let's just figure out where ground is. Okay, where's a big capacitor that has a ground side? So I think that's ground. But that's not going to work on this side, so... Capacitor with ground, are you straight to this? Nope. We'll find one. We'll find a ground point. That other machine had like really, really well labeled everything. I'm just trying to get it to beep across one of these. You're kidding. So, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. All but two legs on this transformer are shorted together. I swear. I guess just it turning on is not good enough. Chances of me finding a transformer that has this same footprint, puts out these same voltages and everything, fairly low. Another way we can test this, let's make sure there's not anything it's going to ground against, is to be a little bit brave. Plug it in. Let's go over here and see, is our power light on? Yeah, our power light is lit like it was earlier. So, if this thing's even going to function that far, it supposedly is on. We're going to swap. Can you see this? Yeah, there we go. I'm going to swap this to DC voltage. And I want to see what we're getting between these. For starters, I'm not sure which one was ground yet. I need to do a little more investigation there, but essentially nothing. Nothing. You would think somewhere across these... Oh, wait, there's 5 volts. 0.8? That doesn't seem like a right number. 200 millivolts, no. Negative 4 1,000th millivolts. Sheesh. So nothing, 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 nothing. So that's going to explain it. So that we're only getting 5 volts. We're not getting... I think most of the displays use like 38 volts. I think most of the chassis use 24 volts or 12 volts for most of their motors. We're not getting any of that across here. And that sucks. I can't think of any reason upstream that would cause that to be shorted like that. I guess the only thing I could do, if I really wanted to, let's unplug it again. Well, we may not have to figure out what this part went to anyway. So hey, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. I'm going to turn on my soldering iron. We'll just desolder this transformer real quick and just see if that short remains across these first, I think it was 6 pins. Yeah. I'm going to bet it does. And if it does, well, that sucks. There's not going to be much I can do for this guy. It just becomes parts. I'll look around in my piles of spare parts. I've got boards like this just laying around. I can already tell you that this transformer is larger and has a different footprint. And worse, if I can't find a data sheet on it, it may be wound in a way that would put out different voltages. So, you know, if it's expecting 12 volts and instead it's putting, you know, when I put in there it's putting out 18, we'll just fry everything. So that's not useful. Yeah, tell you what, once I've done this and I've confirmed this, if I don't have anything come up, if my children are not a problem or something, I'll move right into something else then. I do have a tape player that needs some belts, so we could do that. And not a cassette, not a videotape player, but a audio cassette player. So what you want to do is you want to put a little bit of fresh solder on these. Hey, hun, I need you to leave me alone. Thank you. Goodbye. I have a 6-year-old. They will not respect boundaries at all, or space or anything. And it's fine. She's bored. Ooh. So, you know, the question would be, why am I adding more solder? That's weird. Well, that's because I've got my handy dandy solder sucker here. And this guy basically likes to leave little lead confetti all over my desk. I love that part. Let me knock some of that out. Every so many uses, I take these apart and clean them out outside over a trash can or something. But still, that's probably not the most responsible way to do it either. I'm sure there's something better. Anyway, so this guy, whenever you press this button, pow, the plunger fires up and causes suction so that you can make the majority of that solder disappear up into the sucker. And then I shake it out over my trash can over here. And we're just going through and sucking those up. I do have an electric desolderer where it's a soldering iron with basically one of these built into it. It takes a while to get heated up. That's why I don't typically use it unless I'm just working on something that, you know, has like 40 pins. And they sell some really, really nice ones that are like vacuum pump desoldering pumps. Those are incredible. They are also fairly expensive. The one that everyone swears by is about $350. So someday, when I just have, like, a bunch of spare money, sure. Don't know when that'll be, but someday. Okay, so essentially that will have gotten us here. Let me just for fun, let's do some zoom-ins. Zip down here. Let's see how crazy I can make this. There we go. Check that out. There's a view. Okay, so these pins that I've desoldered, they typically are stuck still on one side. So what you want to do is you want to get something kind of stiff and just put a little pressure on them. If you see them wiggle, then you don't need it. But you heard that one pop. That was it popping loose from the solder on that side. That guy looks like he needs to be pushed this way. Yep, pop. Pop, pop, pop. And let me tell you, this is one of the top ways to hurt yourself doing this, because if you're not real careful, your hand just slips. But as you can see, that just comes right out. So there is your transformer. And it is probably why this whole VCR is going to be useless. Let's find out. So we're going to go back to continuity. We're going to set for the beeper because, audio visual. And there should be, there sometimes are two grounds that are connected. So if two beep together, fine. But that should not be the case. I mean, that's everything but the last two. So this one winding here is fine. But you've got three other windings. Sorry, that's my alarm going off. Three other windings that are sorted together, meaning this guy is garbage. All right, let me just clear the desk real haphazardly. I'm not sure what parts I'm going to want to keep from this thing, but I'll lay it over here off to the side. See if there's anything I want to scavenge off of it. Certainly don't want that transformer. And I can later on, I can double check and triple check that I don't have another one that looks like this that I could just try in it. Maybe? You never know. My hope is to have a space in the future that is large enough that I can store the failed ones like this. And that way, if I have one that just like the chassis is destroyed on, but the board is still good, then I can just pull the chassis from this. I kind of do that, but I have limited space. So things that are an electrical, like board failure like this, they tend to go to the scrap. It's a sad thing, but once I get my basement built, we will be back on it. All right, moving y'all back out here. Woo! And we'll wobble this. Welcome back. Okay. Well then, let me introduce you to the GPX. Somewhere on here I wrote down there it is. It's a C920. The sticker got ripped off the back somehow. I don't know how. It's sad, but that's okay. I was able to look it up, find the exact model, all these exact buttons. Somebody replaced the antenna, which is kind of cool, but it doesn't fit, so this barely fits down over it. But this is a radio/tape player, and this will be our re-roll for things that we can work on. These, typically what you got to do with these is you got to clean out the potentiometers, the volume knobs, and stuff like that. Sometimes the switches need cleaned out. Okay, so that one, so we got it on radio. Now if you hear crackling when you turn the volume knob, I should back y'all up a bit more, sorry. There we go. That's better. Now you can see the whole thing. Alright, so if you hear crackling when you turn the volume knob, which I may have already cleaned this one. I guess I did. Anyway, if you hear both ways, I'll still clean it again just so y'all can see, because we're going to be taking it apart. But then you know that it's got too much junk in there. See if we can pick up anything. Alright, well, that's all we're going to do with not getting a strike. So let's change it over to tape. The reason why we're going to be opening this one up today, let's see if you can see these rollers. Yeah, you probably can. So this guy, whenever I hit play, I'm hearing movement, I'm seeing it, but I can just barely touch that and it stops. So we're going to put new belts in. Because it's never had belts before, this one hasn't. Okay. I'll just unplug it from this end. Let's see, have we ever had batteries corrode in here? Nope, doesn't look like it. That's nice. Will my electric bit fit down in there? No, of course not. Watch this one not fit too. Oh, it fits. Good. So we got what looks to be 7 screws. Sometimes they'll come out with it, sometimes they won't. If not, that's fine. What? Are you a smaller hole? Huh. I think that one's a dummy hole. I don't think there's a screw in there. That's funny. Shouldn't need our soldering iron for this. So we'll let it cool off. Sometime soon I'll have my whole setup back together. I used to have my PC right next to me, webcams, and then I had my microscope hooked up to it, so when I would go to work on something like micro soldering, you could view that with me. Probably better than I could view it. But right now, this is fairly shortly after a move. And one of the things I lost on the move was space. But this house does have a lot of potential. Okay, so this should come apart front half, back half. And it does. Yeah, we got some crusties in here. Crusty rusties. Okay, not really rusty, thankfully. So we got our tape deck here, which is what we were going to target for doing belts. There's one belt there. It's fairly wiggly. Oh my gosh. Ooh. What has been happening over here? I want to zoom y'all in on that. if I don't throw it. Look at the capacitor right there. I've never seen one with like white crusty stuff coming out of it. I think that guy's bad if that's a cap. But yeah, it reads like a cap. So we might be pulling this whole board out just to recap that as well. Let me look over it and make sure there's not any other obvious bad guys. I'm trying to see it. Looks like there's something crusty here. I'm wondering if that's like something that fell inside, or did something burn? Because I'm getting little chips, little just black, fragile, brittle chips. Huh. Well, this guy may be a survivor. Anyway, these are those potentiometers I was telling you about that do your volume knob and stuff. So if those are crackling, I recommend Deoxit Fader F5. No, I'm not sponsored, but you find a hole like that one there. You just kind of got to find a way to get it inside the fader, or inside of the potentiometer. It's going to make a mess no matter what I do, but there we go. Spray it, and then work it back and forth, and you'll actually start to feel it loosen up. And that's it liquefying the grease that's in there. And I don't know if it's good that it doesn't really remove the grease. That's why it's the Deoxit F5 is for faders. It's actually got a grease that stays in there, and liquid that turns to a grease. So anyway, that's how you get crackling volume knobs to stop. Oh, okay. Good evening. What's going on? That's Riatsala. All right, let me use my comically long electric screwdriver here. Ooh. And we're going to take this tape deck out. I don't know if that's working that well. Let's not strip anything. What about you? Will you fit in that better? Sometimes you have to press down real hard to not strip a screw, which is a balancing act. Because, of course, if you press down too hard on something that has old plastic like this, you might get a crunch. Oh no, on this one, this is annoying. They packed these screws full of whatever this red is, which I thought would have been to indicate which screws needed to be removed for this, but boy, that's me being optimistic. It was probably an attempt at like keeping people from repairing them. I don't know. Could go either way. Either way, if you have to, clean out the goop first, because if you don't, you'll strip the screw. Come on, baby. My goodness, is the goop still the problem, or am I the problem? You know what? Let's switch to a smaller bit. Let's see if we can get a bite. Oh, man. No, that was mushier than I wanted it to feel. Strip screw time. I've got things to deal with you if you're stripped. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to think that guy's stripped. That sucks. Just working. Hopefully not much longer. You're beat. Hey, what's going on, Steve? Yeah, I hope you get some rest, Al. Suket there and I have talked about you, Alistair, because he is an old convention guy and says that he has or remembers you and your booth and stuff. So that's pretty cool. Sorry, I'm kind of blocking the camera. What I'm doing is I'm just grabbing it with these and twisting it. It's not the most elegant way, but like, hey. Only problem is it's taking this ground with it. There we go. It's always the last screw that decides to be a problem, you know? It's like it lets you get invested first. I'm wondering if it's still just this red crap that's causing the problem and it's not really stripped. Man, they really got that stuff in there. Well, either way, she's coming out. If we have to go minus a screw somewhere, or if I have to find another screw like it, I'm sure I can. Yep. Sutek, you okay with me saying what your convention nickname is? That's another slightly iffy capacitor there. Actually, Alistair's probably geeky enough to recognize the name Sutek as well. So we've got 2 belts. 1, 2. I've got a bunch of belts over here off screen that I can try to match them up with. We'll go ahead and remove them first. Whoop, there's one. Honestly, they're not that bad. But if I'm going to sell something that has belts, I like to say new belts. And I don't lie. So, you know how it goes. Anyway, Sutek is Remy, is what he has gone by. And I've already bugged him about, you know, hey, I love Ratatouille, but it's not from Ratatouille. Okay, that's larger. So there's a lot of this going on where you're just kind of grabbing belts from a pile, seeing which ones are close in size. Why are these stuck together? Calm down, things. That's pretty good. I like slightly smaller. You know, slightly smaller means it will it can stretch some. You don't want it too tight, but it can stretch some for sure. All right. That's still running smooth. Good, 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 good. All right, so we got that one replaced. Let me just put that one in the garb. And now we want one that's the size of the other. How's this guy look? Ooh. I think I like that. Dadgummit, the vibrating. I know, I'm sorry. Where is Do Not Disturb? Can I get a Do Not Disturb for my children? There we go. Cool. Oh, your first thought would have been Gambit? Is that Gambit's name is Remy? I am not that versed in my X-Men lore. So there we go. We got our new belts on, so we can say, honestly, it's got new belts. Put that back over here in my belt box. Oh me, oh my! I kind of wish I hadn't seen this guy. That is a 220 picofarad or microfarad at 10 volts. But it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to get this entire board out. Well, you know, nothing gained, nothing earned. So most of these volume knobs on things like this will just pull right off. It's a little bit scary because, I mean, they have been glued before. If they are, I still don't know what the answer is. If it's glued on there, I mean, like, you cannot take this case apart without taking them off. So I guess at that point, you're just kind of at the mercy of the fact that the manufacturer doesn't want their product to be serviceable. We'll pop that off. Pop this switch's cap off. Okay. I'm gonna lay this back down like it normally would sit. Just for now. Gotta remember that ground, but whoops, sorry, bumped the camera. That wasn't a notification, that was my head. Now the question is, how much like rope are we gonna have here, even if I undo this? Let's begin. Let's do this little daughter board first. That's just for the headphone port. Headphone jack. Let's see if it'll wiggle its way out of there. Come on, you. You feel like you're like right there at it. There we go. And I'm going to take this screw and put it back here for now. This is a trick for if you think you're going to get overwhelmed by a number of screws that you have out. It's not the end of the world to just put them back in the same holes. That way you'll know where they go. Got a screw down there that's got that red junk all over it. It's very nice of them. Are these the same size? Yes, they are. Good. At least they're not killing me with too much screw diversity. Got one here. Any up there? Yep. Got one here. Up over here. I feel like this mic is going to be a problem. We'll find out. That's the microphone for if you record external sounds onto tape. For when you're ghost hunting. Or if you're being a little butthead little brother like I am, or like I was when I was a kid, and I used mine to record my sister talking bad about my dad and got her in trouble. I was like 7, so, you know, not exactly a deep thinker or terribly compassionate child. Okay, there's a lot of board for this thing. So, let's see here. This mic definitely feels like it's going to be a problem, so I'm going to try to tease it out of the hole there. Come on. I don't think there's going to be enough clearance. Oh, yes, there is. Hey, mic is free. It's got to be able to lift up on enough points of this board. All right, what's holding me up? Antenna. Hate this part. It's time to start desoldering things. Yeah, you know, the Talk Boy would have been great. I've seen a lot of Talk Boys, but I think they're collectible nowadays, so they don't exactly show up anymore in the old thrift store haunt. Waiting for my soldering iron to heat up so I can desolder this antenna wire. There we go. All right, that'll give us a little more. I just want to be able to flip this thing over. I don't have to get the board completely out. I just need to be able to flip it. We'll figure out where that went later. But what I need access to is the back of this area. So let's get over here. Do we see any damage back here? No. That is some that's some classic 90s solder blobbing right there. That's kind of cool. Doesn't look like it was wave soldered. Looks like it was hand soldered, which I think is neat. I might be wrong about that. It may just be that their machines didn't do as good of a job, but this is the capacitor I'm after right here. It's got crusty junk all over it, and it looks like what a battery would if it corroded, which again is weird. I've compared capacitors to batteries before, but I've never actually seen one corrode like a battery. Normally they just leak or bulge, or both. But it's normally a very liquid type of stuff coming out, not crusty white stuff. So what I'm doing here is I'm just melting the solder on each side and then tilting the capacitor I want out back and forth so that slowly the pins retract until she's free. I think that, there we go, we got it. Can't really see what I was doing, but then again, you know, I'm not going to feel too bad about you not being able to see that because I couldn't see either. So that capacitor's off, and again, there's just this crusty junk right there. I don't know what that is. Where did the capacitor go? There she is. Look at that guy. That is incredible. Let's see if we can get a focus on this. I mean, I've never seen one do that. It's bulged out. White crusty crap. You know, just for fun, let's test it. Even though it's obviously got problems. So to test a capacitor, if you have a good multimeter, that would be this symbol here. That's the capacitor symbol. Take our probes, touch both legs, which on this thing is, they're both corroded. So I'm going to have to try to touch the not corroded part. Okay. And give it a minute, because it has to charge the capacitor, which I don't think it's going to be able to successfully do. Looks like we're getting about 0.3 nanofarads at the moment. It's slowly climbing, but it is supposed to be 220 microfarads. So about 2,000, yeah, about 1,000 times more. And I mean, yeah, just that is the worst capacitor I think I've ever seen. 220 at 10. Now the question is, do I have one to replace that? I should. Hi kids, we're home early. Yeah. Okay, so this is a run of the mill. These are probably pretty cheapo too, but the difference is they're not bad currently. Amazon kind of variety pack. Let's see, we had a 220. Okay, it sits like this. So 220 at 10 is this guy right here. Nope, those are 25. But that's okay. I could put a 220 at 25. That's the thing that you have to realize, is that you can go over on voltage, because that's just a voltage rating. That's a, like, can it handle, you know, 10 volts. And that one there was rated to handle 10 volts. And, well, it didn't handle life very well is the problem. This one's rated 220 at 10 volts. Should work. The challenge will be getting it back into here. Also, I'm going to be honest, I didn't do a great job of paying attention to the polarity, which could bite me in the butt. We'll find out in a minute here. That is a mistake that you sometimes make. But that's okay. Let's do some testing here. All right, where's somewhere that we know for sure is ground? That sure looks like a ground plane. Another question is if there's another capacitor near it, which there is. That one, this right here, is ground. Yep. Okay, cool. So we know our polarity. Long leg is always positive. So we want longer leg coming out of this hole here. Man, there's just... I'm going to have to pick at some of that. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it was a type of adhesive or if it was just what that weird freaking capacitor expelled. We're going to pick at it a little bit here and just get some of that out of there. Good grief. This thing was already in working condition before, is the weird part. Like, it was playing the radio and all that. I guess I haven't actually got to test the tape player side of it yet, so maybe that was what was being affected. Okay. Hole 1. Hole 2. Also, a fun thing is newer capacitors actually oftentimes are smaller. So I know that one, and not to mention that one was like all bulged out with something horrible happening to it. So I'm sitting on my cable there, so we're just going to kind of get over here. The goal is to heat the pad and the part, not the solder, but, you know, and then the solder will melt onto it. You do need a little bit of solder on your iron. This guy's going in the garbage, although that is absolutely... I'm going to take some photos of that before I throw that away. That is the worst capacitor I have ever seen. All right, we got that cleared up. So let's start putting her back together. Hopefully we've improved things. Or at least it's the same. Like I said, the capacitor didn't seem like it was actually service affecting, but I just couldn't leave that in there like that. Not in that condition. So let's get this antenna soldered back. Let's not burn my wire there. Soldered back together. Kind of some craptastic solder there, but you know what? It's conductive. It'll do. Okay. Cool. Let's move this out of the way. Don't need it at the moment. Let's start getting all these in. So I've talked about this trick a lot before. Steve definitely knows it, or Sutek, Remy, Bob. Somebody knows it, and that is when you're putting the screw into plastic, rotate backwards, counterclockwise, until you feel a pop. Then rotate clockwise. What that's doing is that's seating the thread into the pre-existing plastic hole. Because when these are first put together at the factory, they cut the threads with the screw. And the screw is capable of doing that. So if you just stick the screw in and you just immediately start turning to the right, there's a real chance you're going to cut new threads in between the other threads, which means you're halving the strength of that plastic. And highly, highly increasing the risk of stripping it out. So if you don't want to strip out screws and plastic, turn counterclockwise first. There's your tech tip for the day. What did it do? It's right here. Yeah. All right, and then this guy. Well, I may be missing a screw hole. Let me look around for a minute here. Oh, yes, I am. There she is. I honestly don't know where this guy went. That's a locking washer. None of these other ones on this board had the locking washer, so if I had to guess, it probably goes on that ground that was running to this. So yeah, as a matter of fact, it's not on there anymore, so that's where it goes. All right, the mic may be fun to do because it went below this potentiometer volume knob. There we go. And then it shoves up into some foam here that probably helps isolate it from bumps against the case. So there we go. We're going to remove our screw for the headphone jack. Cool. I need to find a good royalty-free cassette tape. I think I've got like some Tchaikovsky and stuff like that somewhere. I need to find it though. All right, so this speaker has got to be closer for that to get down there. There we go. That's the fiddly fun of this kind of stuff, is trying to get just trying to maneuver everything. Is that where you want to sit? It's fine as long as you don't get crushed by a screw. So let's do this side first. There we go. That way that'll be out of my way. Cool, cool. Then I can have this sit up like this, or even over here, somewhere to shorten the length of that yellow wire, so that I can fit this guy in. Pop, and boom, headphone jack is in place. Okay. Now we gotta lock down this guy, and we had that one screw that decided to strip like crazy. Now I'm gonna actually look at it closer. This would be a time where my microscope being hooked up would be very useful. I'm gonna see if I can just clean it out using these side cutters. Just get these parts clean, and if maybe that will... It doesn't even look stripped now. So I'm thinking it was that red gunk that was the problem. You hear me, screw? I'm giving you a vote of confidence. Behave. Still picking that red stuff off there. Will it fit in threads? Sort of. Dadgummit. That stuff is awful. Where's my pick at? They gooped you up, thing. This is the part where I stab myself on string with a pick. I'm actually pulling away from my hand. And yet somehow I can still see it going wrong. The good news is there's already red stuff all over the screw, so I'll just pretend like it didn't happen. Like, oh no, the red stuff just got shinier, that's all. Maybe. Oh, hey, if you don't have one already making royalty-free mixtape, that would be actually a really great idea. Yeah. Good ideas there, Riat. Good ideas. All around. Now, let's see. Where has that little ground cable gone? There it is. You aren't supposed to be over there. You're supposed to be... Oh, heavens. I always get my screw loaded up, and then I find out I've got to do like 10 other things first. This guy has not got enough length currently, so I'm guessing that at some point it got wrapped up down inside of there. So we're going to pull him through here. Yeah, there's some really good royalty-free music that people have made. More power to them. I do love when like a royalty-free song becomes associated with a certain YouTube channel, and then then like other people use it, and it's uncanny because you're like, oh my gosh, why is he using the Mark Rober music? It's like, well, that's not Mark Rober's music. That's royalty-free, and technically anyone can use it. This is by far the fiddliest screw of all of them, so that's good. We'll get that one out of the way. I'm sorry that my hands and fingers are in the way. I'm sure I should have the camera at some sort of an angle or something. I'm always 1000% open to suggestions there. Let's see here. I need to move this because that's pushing on the motor when I tighten it. I'm going to keep that from turning. There we go. Last thing I want something pushing this motor out of alignment, which I'm a little bit freaked out at how wobbly that is. Probably got rubber bushings. That is not where that belongs. Okay. What about over here? Aha, yes. Had the pause button on. Well, I put in the title the name of that VCR that I had, and well, it did not get to star like it wanted to. All because another dead transformer. I'm gonna be thinking a lot on, like, if I could find an answer to that kind of problem, because they're all, it's weird. You'd think, like, oh man, there's one of these in everything. Should be easy to find another one. But they all have different pinouts, and I don't know how much you know about the way the transformers work, but essentially there's a bunch of wire coiled around a ferrous core. And the wires technically aren't touching each other. They're just both coiled around the same core. And so that basically creates an electromagnetism that passes through the other wires. And by changing the number of coils, one side and the other, you can actually make it where voltage on this side comes out as a completely different voltage on the other side. So it's a way, transformers, as the name kind of suggests, transform the voltage. Oh man, I am getting a really high feeling that these blue wires were supposed to be like down here. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Last thing I need is y'all causing problems. You're going to try to cause problems, aren't you? I knew it. That's okay. I have an answer for that somewhere around here. I have a magical thing called zip ties. But if that doesn't work, then I have another magical thing called hot glue. Let's just do a bench test here. So we'll try to put this back on. Move that to tape. Let's give this electricity. I gotta find a better cable. This one's not quite fitting in here right. It fits well enough, but first question is if I hit play. Yeah, so our belts are doing their job. Not getting any sound. What is on this tape? Nothing is on that tape. I remember now. I wonder if Glad is going to copyright strike me. You think? First off, I don't think my channel is popular enough to worry about copyright strike. So I think I'm safe, but I don't know. That actually sounds pretty good. Can get that press. All right, let's fast forward. Yep. Stop. Okay, cool. That's our record button, which this is going to have a lockout for that. Pause button. So, yeah, I think we had a successful little adventure there, at least. The Decepticons. Oh, no. This one is a blank tape I use for testing recording. Let's see if it's got anything on it already. Nope. Okay, then let's rewind. Okay, so there's the problem. Flip it around. Was there any way to like actually know which side of a tape you were on? You know, it just didn't make sense. Yeah, stop. You're just gonna pull until you can't pull anymore? Okay, that's annoying. Alright. So let's do a recording. Ooh. Thank you for watching Retro Decade. We'll see if we get any sound. Thank you for watching Retro Decade. A little muffled. A little muffled. Y'all probably couldn't hear it very well. But, it's working. I mean, they always are going to sound muffled. Recorded tapes and such. Real quick. So, if you are working on a tape like this, a tape deck, go ahead, get you a little bit of isopropyl. Spend just a minute cleaning the head here. It doesn't hurt anything. It's a good idea. Might have some goo on there. Might help improve your music and your playback. That's the record head there, I think, or the erase head. I'm going to clean it either way. There's our capstan. So this is what actually spins the tape. This is called the pinch wheel. And this piece comes down and pinches that. Let's see if you can see it here. See, now those two are touching each other, but it's not this big rubber wheel that's doing the work. It's actually that little metal hole there. So you want to clean your capstan too. It'll get dirty. You just want to make sure that it's shiny all over. Man, that thing does not like to turn. Whew. Sometimes I can turn the capstan with just my finger, but like that one was tough. And then other than that, we just got a bunch of dust in here and stuff that I can take a light brush and just make sure we clear it out. I saw one thing I didn't like, which was that this here kind of interfered with the record button earlier. So we're going to reroute him a little bit. And I really do think I may break out the hot glue. Which takes longer than, you know, it should. But at least we've had a successful fix here. Well, that's true. That's true. But, like, imagine that you're trying to find a specific song. You know, then, okay, type A, or, you know, it's on side A. I guess back then we were just a lot more used to the idea that we might have to try something multiple times. I think. I think this is going to be me doing an old man rant. But, like, well, you know, back then we didn't care that it took a few tries to find the song we were hunting. You know, we were fine with fast forwarding and rewinding. This is just some Windex. I'm a big fan of Windex for cleaning, by the way. It is a really good, like, mild detergent. So it's extremely unlikely to wipe off, like, the word max here and stuff. It's extremely unlikely to eat away at things you don't want it to eat away at. Typically doesn't mess up rubber belts. It's just a really good detergent for that sort of thing. So I use it a lot in my cleaning. Another thing I use, though, is, well, sometimes a small brush. But I have a big paintbrush too that is just great at getting into the crevices. If you've got somewhere that there's a lot of little crevices, I'm going to have to do a little bit of work to get inside of the spots of those, but yeah, I get 90% of my cleaning done with Q-tips with or not dishwasher soap, Windex. Let's clean this. Whoops, have I unplugged it? Yes, I have. I unplugged it. I guess that stole its powers. There we go. Well, I've still got some Windex on this wheel, or on this here. I'm going to clean the pinch wheel. Got to be careful or it'll pull it right between those two, and then it's not the end of the world, but it kind of sucks getting it back out and making it where it's no longer wrapped on there. Looks like somebody's played some tapes on here that had mold on them. Look at that. Ew. That was what needed cleaning badly. So we're going to repeat that. By the way, the Windex thing I got from the 8-bit guy. Whoop, there we go. See, I let it pull it in, so now I'm going to have to clean little hairs off the capstan. My goodness, this pinch wheel was dirty. I don't really like to use isopropyl alcohol on the pinch wheels. I think it dries them out. And I'm not a fan of that, you know? I mean, like, there we go again. Look at that. Woo! All right. Stop the tomfoolery. Come here. See, not the end of the world that happens, but annoying nonetheless. But anyway, yeah, dried out pinch roller or pinch wheel is naturally going to start cracking and dry rotting. So I'm not trying to zap all the moisture out of it, which isopropyl alcohol is great at doing. And that's a useful thing on some things, not rubber. That's why I also don't clean belts with isopropyl alcohol. Oh yeah, this guy's getting a lot cleaner now. Look at that. So we did that thing a real favor. Anything else in here that needs a good wipe? I think that's the main points. There's probably some things I could lube if I wanted to be really precise or exact, but meh. No. I think she's good. Let's see. How is my hot glue gun coming? This thing takes quite a while to heat up. Do I have any more glue sticks? I do. So, I wanted to kind of force this to stay in this area, like that. And hot glue is fun for that sort of stuff. And then you just have to sit there and hold it for a while. And I also want to make sure that those blue wires stay out of the way. Another game of patience here. Come on. Got a lot of metal there that you can dissipate heat into. There you go. You're starting to hold yourself. Okay. And this guy may not be able to get it there, so let's just put it... Now let's keep the trend up. Let's glue it to this screw. That way, if I have to take it back apart, I'll hate myself. Spider web, Spider Man. Woo! Don't you love that? You get all this free spider web. Is that the same way they had it at factory? No. Will it work? Absolutely. Man, this thing had a lot of dust in there. I will probably off camera take this outside and blast it out with some air from a blower. But in the meantime, we're just trying to get her back together enough to make sure it's going to work just fine. All right, let's find out what's being fussy here. Something doesn't want to fit just right. Kind of feels like this tuning thing here, like that got moved a bit. Are you what's wrong? Oh, you gotta go like up in there. Oh, okay. That's fun. Well, that's sort of right. This one's definitely more fussy than the others. To get back together that I've worked on. Aha! Got it. Whew, you have to get that tuning wheel right there indexed correctly with the piece that it's on. So I'm going to throw a screw back in just because I don't want it to come back apart there. Let's target where that wheel is, which that was a fake screw hole. I remember that. Remember, turn counterclockwise and clockwise. That does not feel like we're going in. Oh, wait, nope, here we are. Cool. Okay. Let's not throw these. So these have a little notch in them here. See that? And that meets a flat end of the shaft from that potentiometer. So they can only go on one way. That's how you don't wind up with your volume knob not reading accurate anymore. Some don't have that, in which case you have to fiddle with it and find out what's the max and the minimum. Okay. Open that. Glad. I definitely got to blow this thing out. Oh, this thing's cool. I just realized, so it has a left volume and a right volume. So you can actually go mono. That's pretty awesome. Sounds good though. Radio. I think we're on FM still. I didn't have a reason to change it.
We know that buying a home is one of life's biggest decisions.
Indeed it is.
We've committed ourselves to the heavy-built promise, creating top quality, environmentally.
I forgot, Sutek, that you're one of the threatened side of working on electronics. I talk to him nicely, normally.
To Energy Star accreditation, we build each one of our homes.
Typically, things are going very wrong if I'm being mean to my electronics that I'm working on. I did not realize I still had a tape running. Forgot you could do that. You can totally just switch it to radio with the tape still running. Boop. Again, I don't know if Glad will copyright strike me, and I don't want them to. That would make me sad, not glad. I got a bunch of tapes from my dad because I don't really know where all mine from my childhood are. And even if I do have them, I've got one around here. I've got Steve Green, The Letter. That was one from my childhood. But Man, what else is there to say? I'm going to put some screws back in this guy since it's successfully working. And then I'm not going to clean it on screen because that's just, taking it outside, blowing it out, stuff like that. That's a really good point about how you could record. I didn't even think about that. God, look at you. You're a thinker there, Riat. My goodness. There's a hot glue spider web. Spider-Man. Spider-Man. I think I have enough C-cell batteries to test the batteries, but I mean, nobody uses the batteries anymore. Like, who's gonna buy this and be like, oh man, I gotta find 6 C-cell batteries. It's like, no, just plug it in. Enjoy it with that wall power. Come on, get in the hole. Go to your home. Ooh, we got a date code. 93-12-51-40. Well, that's not exactly how I look at dates normally, so that's an interesting way to put it. I'm guessing 1993 is going to be my guess for the 93. 12 makes sense as a month, December. 51 does not. Maybe 51st week of the year? Which would probably be in December. And then 40. Nope, no idea what that was about. I'll take any guesses you have, but 93-12-51-40. No slashes, no dashes. If somebody just won the lottery, let me know. Share it. I'll take a little bit. I won't take all of it. I just want a little bit. Also, I'm going to be completely transparent. That locking washer, I still don't know where it goes. Are you really working on something if you don't wind up with spare parts afterwards? Put our ribbon back in there. Hook this there. Click, click. And there we go. There's you a GPX C920 with a new tape belt. And replacement of the absolute worst capacitor I think I've ever seen. That thing is horrendous. So, yeah, that one, I don't know. I need to find a way to immortalize that. Thank you so much for watching. Riyadh, you got a box of tapes, some mostly decent-looking tapes from Dirty Santa. Oh, dude. Well, we need to get you a tape player then if you don't already have one. Yep. Anyway, yeah, cool. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to start having the project like this sitting off to the side so that if the initial project is just complete failure like that one was with a dead transformer, then we can just roll right into something simpler like a belt change or, I don't know, another VCR. What have I got left on the docket? I did find a, oh, thank you. Thank you for the congrats there, Fayette. I did today actually pick up a CD changer for a Bose Wave system, and I just happen to have a Bose Wave system that it matches that already has a CD changer that works, but that's going to make it where I can test it. So I'm going to be testing that soon, but I think that one, if it's not working, then the work on it is going to be a lot of off-camera stuff, because I think there's a little plastic piece in those that tends to break. I'm going to see if someone's been nice enough to model one up for 3D printing. And if they haven't, then I'm going to try to be that guy. But that's not going to be on camera because, I mean, it'd suck through a, cell phone. So, anyway, thanks for joining me. Y'all have a great one. And I'll just remember how to stop this.